It starts with a sound no one wants to hear at 3 a.m. The unmistakable clatter of someone else in your home. Lo Blacklock, travel journalist and professional overthinker, freezes in bed. Her brain is trying to decide whether this is a dream, a raccoon, or a human with bad intentions. Then comes the whisper of drawers opening. Reality wins. She's trapped in her own bedroom, unarmed, barefoot, and very aware that crime documentaries never end well for people in her position. By the time she forces the door open with shaking hands, the burglar's gone, along with her laptop, wallet, and peace of mind. Days later, she's still reliving it in flashes. The smell of sweat, the click of metal, the silence afterward. Insomnia moves in like a rude roommate. She pops sleeping pills, washes them down with wine, and pretends it's self-care. Judah, her boyfriend, offers comfort. He's patient, almost too patient, the kind of man who puts his dream job in New York on hold just to make sure she's okay. Lo, naturally, argues with him about it. Commitment feels heavier than any burglary. When her editor at Velocity offers a last-minute assignment to cover a luxury cruise through the Norwegian fjords, Lo says yes before thinking it through. It's her big career break. And maybe, she tells herself, a floating palace full of journalists and free champagne will drown the nightmares. Spoiler, it won't. Boarding day arrives. Lo looks composed on the outside, nice blazer, bright lipstick, but inside she's running on caffeine and stubbornness. The Aurora gleams at the dock, sleek and rich enough to make a billionaire blush. Every surface shines. Every staff member smiles like they've practiced for weeks. Lo checks into her suite, unpacking trembling hands and a bottle of anti-anxiety meds. Her next-door cabin sits quiet and unclaimed, except for one faint thud behind its door. When she knocks to borrow mascara, a young woman answers, barefoot, messy bun, wearing a faded Pink Floyd tee that looks wildly out of place. The girl hesitates, eyes darting like she's mid-heist, then wordlessly hands over the mascara and shuts the door. Weird, but Lo's too tired to care. That night, at the ship's welcome dinner, Lo meets her fellow passengers, journalists with fragile egos, a reclusive socialite, and Lord Richard Bulmer, the yacht's owner, whose wife, Anne, looks so pale it's hard to tell if she's seasick or something worse. Lo forces conversation, forces smiles, forces herself to stay awake. The sea outside hums beneath the glass deck. The air smells like money and secrets. As the night fades and the ship glides into open water, Lo finally returns to her cabin. She double-checks the lock, exhales, and lets the pills pull her under. Tomorrow will be better. At least that's the lie she needs to sleep. Morning comes with sunlight so bright it feels like punishment. Lo drags herself to breakfast with sunglasses and sarcasm, surrounded by people who clearly practice their smiles in the mirror. There's Ben Howard, her ex, now a polished travel journalist, pretending not to remember their messy breakup. He waves. She pretends not to see him. The Aurora sails smoothly through the fjords, every inch of it designed to impress. Crystal chandeliers, velvet lounges, champagne at breakfast. Lo keeps reminding herself she's here to work, not spiral. But sleep deprivation has a sense of humor. Her hands shake every time someone mentions the word security. By noon, she's convinced she imagined the girl in cabin 10. Maybe the mascara thing was just a blur from exhaustion. Then night falls. It starts with a soft metallic sound, a latch, a click. Lo sits up, pulse hammering. Through the thin wall, she hears something, a muffled argument, then a scream, then silence, then a heavy splash. She runs to her veranda, heart racing. The sea is black glass under the moonlight, but for a second, just a second, she swears she sees a hand slip beneath the surface. And on the glass of the neighboring veranda, a faint red smear, blood. Lo pounds on doors, shouting for help, still half in disbelief. Security arrives, Johan Nilsson, tall, calm, too calm, and she blurts everything out. The scream, the splash, the girl from cabin 10. He checks the passenger log, shakes his head. Cabin 10, he insists, is empty. No one checked in there, no one's missing. Lo stares at him like he's lost his mind. She knows what she saw, but Nilsson's polite tone makes her doubt herself more than she wants to admit. He asks how much she had to drink, mentions her medication, The implication stings. Maybe she's just another anxious woman who mixed pills and wine. The next morning, Lo doubles down. She searches the deck, interviews guests, even corners Ben in the hallway. No one remembers a mysterious woman in a Pink Floyd shirt. Not the crew, not the journalists, not even the housekeepers. It's like Lo imagined her into existence. She starts to wonder if cabin 10 was empty, then whose mascara did she borrow? Her anxiety claws back harder than ever. Still, she refuses to let it win. So when Nilsson finally allows her to check the staff quarters to prove a point, she goes. The luxury vanishes below deck, cramped bunks, cold metal corridors, fluorescent lights buzzing like flies. No missing woman, no answers, just the uneasy feeling that someone's watching her. Back in her cabin, Lo spots something strange. The borrowed mascara, the one she'd left on her dresser, is gone. Her stomach drops. Someone's been in her room. She grips the bed frame, trying to steady her thoughts, when a new fear settles in. Maybe the killer never left the ship. By day 3, Lo's losing her grip on what's real. Everyone's polite, smiling, sipping cocktails, while she's walking around with wild eyes and a notepad full of paranoia. Each time she tries to talk about the scream or the missing girl, people tilt their heads like they're humoring a child. And honestly, that might be worse than being ignored. Nilsson, ever calm, keeps insisting she rest. Translation: stop embarrassing the guests. Lo's tempted to throw her mimosa at him just to prove she's still got fight left. To clear her head, she heads to the spa. Mud wraps, soft music, the illusion of calm. Somewhere between exhaustion and hypnosis, she drifts off. When she wakes, there's a message written across the steamed-up mirror. Stop digging. Her stomach twists. Someone's been here. Someone knows she won't drop it. Lo rushes out, tracks down Nilsson, babbling about threats. He listens just long enough to remind her that hallucinations are common with her current lifestyle. She wants to scream, but what's the point? No one believes the hysterical woman who drinks and takes meds. By evening, she's jumpy enough to double-check every lock and light. That's when she realizes her veranda door, her supposed lifeline to fresh air, doesn't actually lock. A cold breeze slides through the gap like a warning. The ship feels smaller now. Every footstep in the hallway sounds too close. Every knock at the door feels like it's meant for her. She spends the night on the couch, clutching her phone like a weapon, waiting for morning. But at 2 a.m., there's another knock, soft, deliberate. Lo freezes. Her breath fogs the air. She opens the door, and there she is. The girl from cabin 10, alive. Before Lo can speak, the girl bolts down the hall, hair whipping around her face. Lo chases, heart thudding, shouting her name, but the girl darts through a staff door and vanishes. Then, blackness. When Lo wakes, her head's pounding, her wrists bound. The air is damp, metallic, wrong. She's not in her cabin anymore. She's in a cramped, windowless cell deep in the ship's belly. For a while, she just sits there listening, the steady hum of the engines, the occasional clang above. No footsteps, no rescue. Panic comes in waves, cold, sharp, unstoppable. Her meds are gone, her phone's gone, her sense of time is gone. She tries screaming, but her voice sounds small against the steel walls. Hours, or maybe days, pass before a light flickers under the door. It opens. And standing there is the girl from cabin 10, alive, silent, holding a tray of food. Lo stares in shock. She was right. There was a girl. She just didn't realize the truth. She hadn't witnessed a murder. She'd stumbled into something much, much worse. Lo studies the girl's face in the dim light. Dark circles, shaky hands, skin so pale it almost glows. She's young, terrified, and definitely not supposed to be here. When Lo asks her name, the girl ignores her. She sets down the tray, bread, water, a few vitamins, and slips out before Lo can move. This becomes a routine. The door creaks, the tray slides in, silence follows. Days blur together until the air itself feels heavy. Hunger dulls, but panic doesn't. Then, one day, something changes. The girl drops the tray too close, and Lo grabs it, not for food, but as a weapon. She lashes out, not to hurt her, just to make her talk. The tray scrapes her cheek, knocking off one penciled eyebrow. Lo freezes. The girl's bare skin tells another story. That's not makeup, it's disguise. Suddenly, it clicks. The woman standing in front of her isn't the passenger from cabin 10 at all. She's been pretending to be someone else. Ann Bulmer, the billionaire's sick wife. Lo feels the blood drain from her face. The real Anne is dead, thrown overboard. And this girl, who finally whispers her name is Carrie, has been forced to live her ghost life ever since. Carrie explains everything in bursts, guilt slipping through her words. She was a waitress once, working in one of Bulmer's clubs, trying to be an actress. He was charming, rich, the kind of man who looks at you like you're the only person in the room, until you realize you're just a prop. Anne found out. There was a fight, and on that night, Carrie helped Bulmer cover it up. Anne's body went into the sea. Her identity stayed behind. Carrie became the wife who recovered miraculously. Now Bulmer controls everything. Her money, her passport, her fear. Lo listens, caught between horror and pity. Carrie isn't a monster. She's another prisoner. And like Lo, she wants out. Their conversations start to sound less like threats and more like confessions. Carrie talks about guilt that eats her alive, dreams of leaving, the sick logic that kept her loyal to the man who ruined her. Lo understands that part all too well. Eventually, a fragile trust forms between them. Carrie sneaks Lo her antidepressants, apologizing for what she's done. Lo, in return, swears she'll never tell anyone about the affair if Carrie helps her escape. The plan is risky. Carrie will fake an argument with Bulmer, distract security, and give Lo a chance to slip out disguised as her. It's desperate. But so are they. For the first time since boarding the Aurora, Lo feels something that almost resembles hope. Still, one thought won't leave her alone. If Carrie could help kill once, what's stopping her from doing it again? Lo pulls on Carrie's clothes, expensive fabric that smells like guilt and perfume, and stares at herself in the mirror. She doesn't look like a journalist anymore. She looks like someone about to risk everything. Carrie gives her instructions in a whisper. Go through the staff hallway, take the staircase to the Bulmer suite, grab the money hidden in the drawer, and run when the ship docks. Lo nods. Her heart's doing its own drum solo, but this time, that's allowed. She locks Carrie inside the small room, whispering, "You'll be free next." For a second, Carrie almost smiles. Then the door clicks shut, and Lo's alone again. Upstairs, the Aurora feels emptier than it should. She creeps into the Bulmer suite, each step deliberate. The room gleams with wealth. Champagne bottles, crisp sheets, a photo of Anne smiling like she never knew betrayal. Lo finds the envelope stuffed with cash and almost laughs at the absurdity of it. Then the door opens. Bulmer stands there. He's not surprised, not angry, just calm, like he expected this. Lo fumbles backward, words tangled in panic. He tells her she's made a mistake, that Carrie's unstable, that no one will believe her story. It's the tone of a man who's lied his whole life and always gotten away with it. So Lo does the only thing left to do. She bolts. Out the door, across the veranda, the ocean wind howling. Bulmer shouts behind her. She climbs the railing, trying to reach the next cabin, but her hand slips. The world tilts, and she falls. Cold slams into her like concrete. The sea drags her under, swallowing sound, thought, everything. She fights her way up, gasping, kicking toward the faint outline of the coast. Every breath burns. Every stroke feels heavier. But somehow, she makes it. She stumbles onto a rocky shore, drenched and shaking, the Aurora vanishing into the fog. She finds a small hotel nearby, begs for help, but the owner recognizes Bulmer's name, and suddenly, that help doesn't feel safe. So she runs again, through the woods, to a barn that smells like hay and freedom. When she finally reaches a phone, her voice cracks as she calls Judah. He thought she was dead. The relief in his voice is enough to break her completely. Days later, news hits. Bulmer's dead. Suicide, they say. But Lo's not so sure. Weeks pass. She recovers, quits Velocity, and moves to New York with Judah. She's done chasing luxury. Now she wants truth. Then one morning, she checks her bank account. A new deposit. 40,000 Swiss francs. No note, no name. Just one line in the memo. Thank you. CeeLo stares at it, smiling through a shiver. Carrie lived, and somewhere out there, she's finally free. Or maybe, just maybe, she's not done writing her own ending. What are your thoughts on this? If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more animated summaries.